We also welcome on board Mr. Rama Mohan Rao Amara, the MD and CEO at SBI Cards. Lots to discuss there, of course, with Carlyle selling 4% stake and a lot of bullish commentary that continues to come in on the company as well. Sir, to begin with, now we've of course seen the Carlyle arm, CA Rover Holdings, sell about that 4% stake just last week. How is the shareholding affected now? If you could share that with us, post that partial exit, and how much does CA Rover Holdings now hold in the company?
Carlyle exiting is purely a kind of investor's prerogative. If you look at them, they have been with us for the last 2.5 years. They have been unlocking the value based on their own internal processes. So they will be in a better position to comment on why they offloaded 4%. But even as on date, they hold more than 11%. By virtue of that, they still hold a board position. And the main promoter, SBI and Carlyle, actually, we are benefiting from the synergetic relationship between both of them.
Okay, fair enough. Given the kind of recovery we are seeing and the slow move back to normalcy, are you also seeing spends inching back up towards those pre-COVID levels?
I think Q1 we have seen due to lockdown and very limited economic activity, savings were more than the consumption. But Q2 has seen a kind of revival and a reversal of savings and more towards consumption. And in terms of the results declared in Q3, we have come back strongly. The industry as such has come back very strongly to pre-COVID levels in November. We at SBI Card, we were able to achieve that in October itself. If you look at the contributing factors, online has steadily increased. I think perhaps the positive effect of COVID, the only positive impact of COVID, perhaps you can say increasing digitization and nudging the people to use digital means more. That has actually helped. The online spend share has increased from 44% to 53.4% as of December 2020. Of course, if you look at some of the segments like travel, restaurants, entertainment, etc., continue to be below pre-COVID levels. But we are also able to see some of the other segments like groceries, insurance, utilities, etc., which are like a non-discretionary in nature. They have come back. And even the POS also, particularly from the month of January, we have seen POS locations are opening up, retail malls are opening up, we are seeing increased activity. So the share of POS will gradually increase, but it looks like the preponderance of online share will continue to be there for time to come.
The general belief is that given the digital transactions have gone higher, there could be a growth of about 40 to 45% in transactions and a 25 to 30% growth in profit. Is that a reasonable assumption?
I cannot comment on the numbers and the speculation, but I can only give you a flavor of what's happening in terms of growth. Cards in force, if you look at, we have been steadily recording a good growth quarter on quarter. Our new acquisition was like a year-on-year growth was around 15% as of December 2020, which is better than the industry average, which helped us actually in gaining market share of almost 90 basis points as compared to December 2019. Similarly, spends-wise, we have been recording a good growth quarter on quarter. As I said earlier, online is contributing more. And we did launch a lot of campaigns, marketing campaigns in Q3, which helped us pass like retail spends crossed 30,000 crores actually in quarter. And of course, pre-COVID levels we were able to reach in October. But with regard to behavior of assets, it is a function of what kind of portfolio you have. We used to have in pre-COVID time perhaps something like one third, like a transactors 1/3, revolver 1/3, and EMI kind of loans 1/3. But now after RBI came into being, as of December, RBI accounts for around 9%. So this is a shift from mostly from a revolver to RBI or EMI based kind of loan, which will, as you know, like a rundown over a period of time. This is all repayable. So with gradually this RBI coming down, you can see a kind of a restoration of earlier position gradually. So asset growth will be a function of all these things. So we will be watchful and we have necessary means to fund that growth.
Because of pandemic, there is going to be definitely a issue in terms of repayment. There is definitely a job loss which has happened. Right now, while the RBI moratorium has helped a lot, do you think somewhere in this financial year, because of bad loans, the credit cost could move higher?
Yes, among our different segments of customers, self-employed category and CAT-C employees did witness kind of stress, and predominantly that is the pool which has opted for moratorium. So RBI's hardship tools were very, very handy. So we extended the RBI RE dispensation starting from August. So a lot of booking happened. In fact, we booked around 2,700 crores up to December, bulk of which happened up to October. Some more additions were there in the month of November and December. So this is the first quarter where we have a complete visibility around the performance of the RBI, because even those customers who opted for RBI in November and December, their payment behavior will be visible now. So it is like a dynamic picture. We continue to work with the customers. We continue to watch the portfolio quality very, very closely. This is a kind of focus area. And we have actually intensified the collection efforts, because knowing about this portfolio, normal collection efforts will not be sufficed. So we have intensified the collection efforts. So only at the end of the quarter, we will be making an assessment. But to give you some comfort in terms of provisioning and the buffer available to us, as of December, we had a management overlay of 1,113 crores, over and above a base provision of 940 crores. So this covers the Supreme Court standstill portfolio. Even on a very, very prudent basis, we deemed 30 plus delinquency in RBI portfolio, even though it is not NPA, as NPA, and we provided at stage 3 kind of provisioning. So we feel we have provided enough to take care of the stress, but we will be assessing the situation very, very closely and don't mind actually providing more to take care of any losses. But directionally, the credit cost will be correlated to the constitution or composition of RBI portfolio. So as the RBI composition comes down, you can witness a gradual decrease in the credit cost. So the decrease will not be dramatic.
Right. SBI Cards is the second largest card player in the market, next only to HDFC Bank. But while HDFC Bank card book is currently standing at 63,000 crore rupees, you're only at 235 billion rupees. Why such a huge gap between the two competitors? And also, what kind of market share gains are you targeting, and how is it that you plan to achieve the same?
Very pertinent question. Given the kind of low penetration of credit card in India and favorable demographic changes, we are quite sanguine about the prospects of credit card industry, notwithstanding the short-term headwinds. We work on multiple levers. We are a leading player in the open market acquisition space. We have our people present at all the premium malls, airports, railway stations, commercial complexes, etc., to source applications. So this has been a great, biggest contributor to the assets under management, or NEA, and the profitability. And we do have a very kind of profitable partnership with SBI to tap their customer base under a program called Shikhar and a pre-approved program. We do look at their database and then identify the customers who we can card. The contribution from this channel, what we call banker channel, has steadily been improving. In fact, from a 35% as of 2017, it steadily increased to almost 50% as of March 2020. As of Q3, it is almost at 51.9% from this channel. So we are very bullish, and we also look at the segments like knowing fully well that the competition is very, very high in Tier 1. We also set our eyes on Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4. But for that, we are looking at increasingly striking partnerships and, of course, leveraging the parent bank's customer base portfolio. Because the advantage of working with the parent bank's customer base is we do have access to auto debit and auto sweep to the customer's operating account. That gives us some comfort in terms of tapping that operating account in terms of delinquency.
Sure. You did mention that the industry is largely under-penetrated. Which segments then are you targeting for market share gains?
As I said, geography-wise, obviously tier 1 will be very, very intense. Existing players are ramping up their activity, and we have also heard of new players entering the space. But coming to T2 and rest of the tier 4, tier 5 kind of cities, now they are contributing to almost 58% of our new customer acquisition. This requires a different ballgame because you need to have a kind of collection machinery to collect. You need to have the right technology tools to service those customers because their requirements will be very different. And of course, we are uniquely placed in terms of having a kind of piggyback on the parent bank to service their customers. So we are very bullish about that. Second one is we are increasingly looking at partnerships. In Q3, we have disclosed that we have entered into a partnership with the Paytm, which is the largest financial services provider in its own space, to cater to a different segment of customers whose digital transaction analysis can lead to a kind of understanding whether they are cardable or not. So increasingly, we look to such kind of partnerships, and we are one of the, or perhaps the largest co-brand card provider. We have partnerships across various segments, whether it's the fashion, mobility, airlines, retail, etc. We have large partnerships. So these help us in actually providing a constant source of new accounts. We continue to be growth focused, and we want to surpass the kind of industry growth over the time to come.
Okay, we are seeing, of course, digital payments, transactions, that entire pocket see exponential growth. So going forward, are we likely to see bigger tech giants also now coming into the payment space? What's the kind of competitive landscape that you're anticipating, and how are you preparing for that?
One thing is, like, a credit card it does have a kind of unique value proposition. It has a 50-day free credit. Then you have a facility of availing an EMI kind of loan, either at the point of sale or subsequently, before the payment due date, you can convert some of the payables into EMI kind of loan. It has a strong loyalty program. So it won't be so easy to dispel this kind of compelling value proposition. But I do agree, a lot of competition is building up, new players are entering the digital payment space. Yes, in the short term, there can be some kind of impact, more on the debit card side rather than on the credit card side. But we look at it in a very positive way because they are creating market. As we have seen, there is an increasingly shift from cash to digital. Thanks to Government of India efforts and RBI's efforts, increasingly newer set of people are shifting from cash to digital. This actually will actually enhance our what we call top of the funnel and increase our base for customer acquisition. So it is a win-win. As long as the market share is expanding, new players are entering, this is a win-win. But we are mindful of the kind of competition and convenience they can offer. And being a player of 25 years old and having invested in technology, we can match with them in terms of our offerings to the customers.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us this morning and taking us through the latest there at SBI Cards. We're going to take a very quick break on that note. Back in just a moment.